Guys, welcome back. If I look amped, I'm like almost hyped with energy. I heard this noise today. The guy showed up. He did the work. He did it for what he quoted, and I kept praying to Asmodeus and begging Asmodeus. I'm like, please let it be this thing. Please let it be. Do you know he came in like $5 within what I wanted it to be? And I'm like, okay with me. I couldn't get him to chip at $5 off, but he's sneaky bastard. He tried to put 150 more on it. So I'm like, no, that's not what we agreed to. So I got it in. I got the work done on budget. Asmodeus is good for handling that. I don't know if he got an assist from Mammon, but Asmodeus is really good about. I get this mental image of like just walking through the gambling casino, keeping an eye on everything. He runs a pretty tight ship, and I noticed he had knocked something up, and he didn't tell me about it, and I'm really not all that concerned. But I pointed it out to the demons because I'm like, I understand it was in the weeds or something. What are you gonna do? And I said, he at least admitted he did damage something else, and he apologized. And I said, well, that's okay. I knew that was going to happen. I wasn't really concerned. And he then, as a bonus, pulled something else down for me when I pointed it out. He did I think, the wrong tree. No, he did the right tree, but something. Anyhow, I got all that work done. I called my other friend, because Asmodeus has been about keeping lines of communication open. And, I talked to her and she was nice. And I said, can you please put this friend on a prayer circle? I said, I know she's not your favorite person. I said, I know that. I said, but I'm worried about her. I said, she likes to kind of, I didn't tell her, but she likes to kind of play Russian roulette. The one on with the cancer, she's having a sore throat, burning throat to the point where she can hardly eat. She is eating sporadically, so I'm just keeping an eye on her, like I told you guys earlier, because how serious that can get and how fast it can go. And I said, please just, put her in the prayer circle, because I'm like, that's her God. Presumably he's going to keep an extra careful eye on his children. And she didn't mind. She agreed. I'm like, okay. And I think she was just pleased to see me taking interest in something religious. And I'm like, if she knew a demon told me to do this? So, like, Asmodeus was like, shove. But, it's not like working the system. It's not being dishonest. That's her God. That's who I should go to because that's who's going to have the most vested interest in taking care of her. So, that'll work, and they'll feel pretty good about themselves because they're praying for a Catholic and they're Methodist. So I'm like, you know what? If it makes them feel happy, good. So I got that done. Loki's going to get a fluff ton of food because I had promised the boys, and this is one thing: if you do promise a reward at the end, or you do promise some kind of payment, and something comes in like almost to the dollar, like within $5, I'm not going to yell. Then you go ahead and you give your payment, and they're all nodding like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You promise payment, give them payment. Now, if something happens in the meantime, say you say to Asmodeus or Loki or whomever, if you get me that job and I get this paycheck, I will get you this. Let's say you get the job and you get that paycheck, but you lose your apartment and you have to move to a new one, and it is just the amount you would have spent on the offering. That they understand. They even understand if we kind of fuck up sometimes and we take that money because we were really, really, really going to get their stuff, and then we saw something and we go, do you mind? If you ask permission, they can sometimes delay payment. Just don't not pay them ever. Keep in mind, it's just like a human with a lead pipe that it did work for you. And they might be pretty cool. They might give you a long time. They might give you like a couple weeks, a couple months to pay them back. It's not quite as bad as people make it seem. But eventually get them paid back. And they will remind you, by the way. They will start sending signs of, hey, you know that payment you promised me? And with me, they take what I can give. Having the feast, promising them I would do this, and promising them something else I would do. They're going to take it as payment. It's acceptable to them. They will watch out for you. Now, they're usually not going to bend the laws of physics and time and space, though I suppose on rare occasions that happens, and it's what we classify miracle. But in general, they're going to take care of you within their capacities. It was funny, someone had commented while I was making the first version of this video about, they have Belial showing up as an angel, and demons will show up as angels because they know they have a lot of bad press and they know they have a hard sell. Especially if you leave Catholicism and you come in from Wicca, the first thing Wicca keeps doing is snapping its fingers at you every 5 seconds and saying, "We don't believe in Satan. We don't believe in Satan. We don't believe in Satan." So, you don't really get that time to breathe and figure out, what do I believe? Who do I believe in? You trade one set of beliefs for another, and in a way, it's not fair, but it gives you somewhere to land. Yeah, I believe in Satan. I've met the guy. He's actually rather nice. So is Lucifer. And all these demons are getting themselves settled in. Now, they're not telling me if whoever they're having me contact who is who and what is what sometimes, because they do like to have an escape clause. They do. And they realize they are a hard sell because even turning on the classical station, they're really, because the Christians are going kind of nutty, they're really, and I'm not saying that to be mean, but they're really starting to play a lot of music to supplicate their God on a classical music station. I'm like, it's Wednesday! Don't you have something better to do? Hasn't somebody played Highway to Hell in a classical sense? Could we hear anything else? I don't care. It doesn't bother me. My head doesn't spin. I don't spit stuff out onto the wall or something. But I'm like, it's getting to be a bit much. Luckily, Asmodeus doesn't mind it. The only time I've ever seen him get upset is we were scrolling through Pinterest the other week, and um, I don't know why. King Solomon was in one of the pins, and I heard this behind me. And I just kind of looked at him like, "It's okay, baby. It's just a pin." And I'm hearing this thing about evil men and and he hates certain people, and that would be one of the people on his list. But then Asmodeus got his revenge and had all the funny one, and I said, "That's my boy." So I feel this little puffed up sense of pride. So it's been interesting, and we've been doing research on the demons on the side, and it looked like Mars came back in for a little while. So we've got the International House of Awesome, but this is where I warn you, young people, not to make foolish promises when you're a child, because most people wouldn't hold you to it. Most adults wouldn't hold you to it. But gods, angels, demons, whatever entities you work with, they have a very different sense of morality or who is old enough to be held to account than we do. Odin the Norse god showed up because it damn well felt like it, but if you ever said something like, "Oh, I will serve all the gods if only I find them," they might have heard that shit. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but Loki's been giggling and humming to himself and just, absolutely happy because sometimes gods come in and they say, "You remember this promise you made?" Yeah, but I was like, what, 8 or 10? It doesn't matter. You made this promise. You told all the gods, you would serve us. Yeah, but there's no possible way. We'll find a way. We like you. And careful what you cast for, my dears. It can be crazy. It can be overwhelming, but I have Asmodeus behind me. And of course, Odin's still trying to get me alone by myself. We did stuff for Odin's Day yesterday, and he tries to get you alone. And he starts to whisper in your ear. Remember, he can enchant people, and he starts to say, "I'm the only god. There are no demons. It's only been me. I didn't think you'd give me what I wanted." And when he speaks, he makes absolute sense. Satan could take lessons from this guy. And he will have you convinced and eating out of the palm of his hand, and the others don't even care anymore because he'll just let him have his fun, and then he'll let you go after he's gotten you totally under his control and in his thrall. It amuses him to do that to people, and it works every time. I don't care how high a magician you are. I don't care what. If he hasn't done it to you now, yeah, he doesn't want to. He can bring anybody to their knees and have them do anything he likes. Shut up, Loki. And it's just he has this very powerful enchantment he likes to work on people. It amuses him. Loki usually likes to scare the shit out of people for fun, Odin likes to enchant people, though sometimes he will get into a pounce on you mood, and there have been a couple times, if you guys remember, he challenged me to come out and face the wild hunt because he believes in gender equality, but that includes coming out and facing him in the middle of a thunderstorm because you're not going to be a sissy and you're not weak, and if you were any kind of whatever, because you know I'm gender fluid, you will come out and you will face me and you will face your creator now, and that TH Thunder voice, and you go out and it's like you can fucking feel the wild hunt riding over you. And you're looking at this like, oh shit. I remember how every one of these wild hunt story ends, and it's usually not any fucking good, except for the ones with chains, but those have giant trees in them, and damn it. I'm like, well, any god, any goddess, any angel, any saint, any demon in hell, they could snap us like a twig. And I don't say that to frighten you guys. It's just, it's known. They don't usually do it. It's very rare if it happens at all, but they could snap us like a twig. And so, we're getting the whole house done, and Asmodeus is running things to the extent that Odin's happy to let him. And Loki really doesn't care. He'll kind of skulk around in the background, and he got some Loki stay yesterday, and he finally got his wish. We played some My Little Pony in VR, and even Loki can't stand that much My Little Pony. He thought it would be the greatest thing ever, and it's just, I had this one screen this one time that made everything on that show pop, and everything was these bright, hella bright colors. Every other screen I've had since, it looks muted and plain, and I'm like, I wonder if it was just some kind of medication I was on, because this show looks kind of drab in comparison to what I remember, but it must have been the screen. I think it was like quartz or something. I'm not sure. I don't know. Anyhow, Loki is happy, and he is running around chortling to himself and talking to himself, and Asmodeus is happy, and everybody's getting settled in. And, life is good. I'm glad I got the work done. That was one of the huge things I was dreading. It's behind me. It's done. The yard looks great. Everything's done. I'm good for 2 weeks. So, if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye bye.